gathered together for an archive on time travel. I was criticized as being a fraud. My proof apparently wasn't good enough for the masses. Hey, but I'm not one to give up. So you can bet that I've done a little more digging, and wouldn't you know, happened upon even more proof of time travel. This time I looked to our favorite celebs and found 10 that just might be the time travelers I've been looking for. Still skeptical? Then you should subscribe and click the bell. For every subscription, we gain 1/100th of a gigawatt, and we only need 1.21 for our time machine to work again. Also, be sure to leave a comment with a suggestion of which time period we should travel to.
Number 10. Eddie Murphy. The image from the left was allegedly pulled from the 1920s. The question we have is why a rich, talented African-American man would want to leave the present and go back to before civil rights was even a concept. Whatever he did back in the 20s must have worked, because that hat and bow tie is just way too dapper. Number 9. Jennifer Lawrence. After surviving the Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence needed a break from the modern spotlight and decided to travel back to the 1950s and revamp her acting career as Zubaida Tharwat. Lawrence really changed her image, traveling to Alexandria, Egypt, and picking up her career there with movies like Bet 17, Eni Atahim, and Zaman Yahab. She even dabbled in some stage performances before deciding Egypt and the past wasn't really for her. At some point, she returns to the past, however, and passes away in December of 2016 at the age of 76. Number 8. Peter Dinklage. Jester at the court of Philip IV of Spain, Sebastian de Mora had this picture painted of him. His look of displeasure and apathetic pose reading as if he were unhappy about something. You know what we think? He's unhappy because he's really Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage, and during an accidental trip back to the 17th century, he was mistaken for a jester. You can't tell us that's not Dinklage. On top of looking just like him, de Mora is also a dwarf. Coincidence? No, we don't think so. Number 7. Leonardo DiCaprio. This one confuses us, but we're certainly not judging. It looks like shortly after his What's Eating Gilbert Grape role, a young Leonardo DiCaprio happened upon a time machine, traveled back to the 60s, and posed as teenage girl Judy Zipper. DiCaprio's little romp was allegedly discovered in the yearbook of a Tumblr user's grandmother. Like we said, we're not judging, though we think it's time for you to come clean, Mr. DiCaprio. Or should we say, Mrs. Judy Zipper? Number 6. Justin Timberlake. Those mutton chops are a clever disguise, but the nefarious JT is undeniably represented both in the present and in the past with these images. He's fuller in the face in the 1920s era snapshot, but it doesn't hide his otherwise recognizable features. So, now that we know this image is of him, we're left with one very pressing question. When he sings Sexy Back, is he really singing Sexy Back to the future? Number 5. Sylvester Stallone. Sly Stallone has a face that is unmistakable, so it was poor judgment on his part to volunteer as a subject of Raphael's Pope Gregory IX approving the Vatical Decreto painting. The Italian painter captured the essence that is Sylvester Stallone, making him easy to pinpoint in this historical painting. From Rocky to Pope Gregory IX fanboy, Sly has had quite the fulfilling life. Our question is, if you can travel back in time, why not at least try to be the Pope rather than serve as one of his admirers? Number 4. Jimmy Fallon. Picture it, Turkey, the 1970s. A young Marxist-Leninist revolutionary leads the People's Liberation Party Front of Turkey. In the height of his movement, he kidnaps 2 NATO technicians, a move that winds up getting him killed. They say that man was Mahir Kayan, born March 15, 1946. Judging by the photo, it was one Jimmy Fallon, born September 19, 1974. Clearly, with his infinite wealth that he has accumulated over his years as a talk show host, Fallon funded a time machine and for some reason went back to Turkey to support the Revolutionary Communist Party of Turkey. Yeah, we're still kind of working out the kinks on this theory. Number 3. Channing Tatum. What do you do after you've found success in the film industry? Well, if you're Channing Tatum, you suit up in your time machine and zap yourself back to the early 20th century. Specifically, Tatum seems to have gone back to World War I to help in the fight in Europe. The image came off of Reddit in a post claiming the user had found a time-traveling Channing Tatum in their family. We think you may be right, Reddit user. Number 2, Matthew McConaughey. Well, all right. McConaughey would likely deny that this is him in this old-timey photo. Can you imagine the backlash if the world found out he could travel through time? Well, no matter how much he may protest, we know he tore through the fabric of time and dolled himself up for this photograph. He thought the mustache would throw us off. But no, Mr. McConaughey, we know it's you. All right. Number 1, Vladimir Putin. Feeling unfulfilled in his adult life, American physicist Vladimir Putin had enough of taking everybody's nonsense. So he perfected his time-traveling device and returned to the past. Displeased with his progress in the United States, he moved to Russia in the 1920s and adopted the name Vladimir, because it sounded cool. The former American spent years perfecting Russian and inadvertently found himself gaining influence in his new motherland. By 2000, good old Benji had fully grown into his Russian persona and weaseled his way in as Russian President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. All right, thanks for watching. Hey guys, you think I'll get the same type of criticisms about this video like the one before? No, I'm not going to tell them to leave a comment. They really hurt my feelings last time. They'll probably subscribe and click the bell just to get chances to throw verbal tomatoes at